Yeah, so I'm the founder, executive director of Tribe Task and Purpose, or we call it TTP for short, and it's a Christ-centered approach to heal addiction for commandos and first responders. So the commandos being SF, SEAL, CAG folks, PJs, combat controllers, going into TF-160, the Helo pilots as well. So long story short, I went into a rehab program, a conventional military rehab program in 2020, and it just, as I got there, and I needed the help, but as I got there I realized it wasn't for guys like me. So the alpha male, the commando, the guys that have seen a lot of whether it's combat or just third world experiences and uh, worldly concepts and trauma that the average person hasn't seen. So uh, that was the genesis of TTP. Working through trauma or PTSD was is unique because we have, when it comes to addiction, 90% to 95% of addiction is core or rooted in trauma. So, but the more fascinating piece of that is it's typically childhood trauma. So, and I learned this going through counseling sessions, like really intensive counseling, and so working through that childhood trauma was what got me out of my hole, and PTS or combat trauma too. But it was the childhood that had the most primary roots established. And so going through that and working it and putting the light on it, putting the spotlight on it, over time it lost its power and it lost its control and lost its dominance over my personal life. So I can, that's one facet of what we're going to be doing at TTP, is we're going to be working through that, whether it's combat trauma or just trauma in the general sense, life trauma, childhood trauma, whatever that trauma looks like for that individual. That's one piece that we're going to be working on for that individual. So, and to segue into what TTP is, it's a wholeness or a holistic approach to heal addiction. So we're trying to get away from a treatment model per se, and we're focusing on the wellness model of the body, mind, spirit. So fixing all of them, because if one of them's broken, they're all broken. I call it the wellness trifecta. And so with the body, we're looking at like injuries, whether the back injuries, joint injuries, any type of injury. We're looking at that. We're gonna spotlight that with our medical staff, and we're gonna go and individually tailor the programs to the individual's needs. So whatever body piece is broken or missing, perhaps, we're going to work with that individual for that. For the mind piece, well, also for the body piece, physiological biomarkers. So we're working on the biomarkers, and we're going to see like if there's a consistent pattern with addiction or substance abuse with individuals that are predisposed to addiction. So we're gonna try to identify those biomarkers, and that would be the physiological piece. The mind piece is going to be, life coaches, like ICF certified life coaches that are PCC or above. That we have Harrison Strength certified coaches, which at the executive world is a big deal. So looking at that, and additionally, we're going to go into our counselors are going to be certified trauma therapists as well as substance abuse, and we're keeping it all in the confines of Christian. We're keeping it under a Christian umbrella. So the spiritual endeavor is going to be, we're going to focus on a 12-step model, whether it's Celebrate Recovery or if the individual wants to maintain an AA 12-step model, that's fine. But we're going to have that in correlation with a professional staff, whether they're chaplains or whether they're, let's say, true theologians or Christian apologists or whatever. But we're going to have those individuals there that are going to teach the construct of what Christianity is. And it's not to Bible thump. We're not doing any of that. But what we're doing is we're giving, it's the Berean model. We're giving them the knowledge that they can choose whether they want it or not. But at least they'll have that information and that knowledge and wisdom to go forward and move ahead on their true personal convictions. So take it or leave it, but this is what worked for me. And and I want to give it back to my brothers, my tribe, and be like, hey man, take it or leave it, but this is what worked for me.